5.
Curry hits a three.
4.
Just for the drive. Deep left field.
3.
Magic hit by Watt. Sack number 10.
2.
Messi with a record-breaking goal.
1.
Welcome to BSS Sports. Now, here are your hosts, Steve and Trevor.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of BSS Sports. My name is Steven Schill with the ever-lovely, apparently fantasy-winning Mr. Trevor Struthers for this Tuesday, as yesterday was the good old Thanksgiving. Hopefully you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And Trevor, I know you did because the Blue Jays won. I know that you were going ballistic. I know that things were broken, except for your heart. How did you feel with the Blue Jays winning, sweeping the good old Texas Rangers?
I mean, it's sort of cliche in a way, but they're playing the best baseball of the season right now. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's really cliche.
And it's funny, too, though, right? Because in September, a lot of Blue Jays fans are like, man, can they be playing any worse? And, I mean, obviously they end up losing out on the division. The Red Sox end up winning like 11 in a row. And so, yeah, but then they have to get in through the wild card, and they have yet to lose a game in October. And, I mean, they haven't played many games, but the games they've played so far in October have obviously been huge.
So the videos popping up about the different Toronto sports teams, notably the Raptors, supporting the Blue Jays, putting the Ed wing on their shoulder and everything. Is this good that Toronto's doing this, or is this like a side PR thing? Because it's kind of these cheesy commercials. You can tell why people are hired as actors, because they're not good at acting.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but I mean, I don't think the players were forced to be at the Blue Jays game the other day. The ones that were, I mean, Kyle looked like had some pretty good seats. Kyle Lowry, some Leafs were there, sitting up in a box. So, I mean, whenever you get a chance to see like a playoff baseball game, and it's not like you're being forced to go. They're choosing to be there, and I mean, you have a point because guys like Kyle Lowry, I think Austin Matthews was there. Chances are they didn't grow up rooting for the Blue Jays. So I guess it is sort of a PR thing. But it is kind of nice to get behind that hometown team. It's kind of a cliche thing, though, right? Talking about cliche, it's kind of like, yeah, but it's really cheesy, I guess. It's not cliche, but cheesy is the right word to get behind that team. But it looks nice. It looks nice on the team.
Bandwagoner-ish, kind of, I suppose. Maybe no,
I guess,
too far. Too far.
Yeah, but the reason you do it, and it makes all the sense in the world because of this, is because their fans are your fans, right? So I mean, it only really helps you, I think.
Trevor, my favorite part about this is I was just expecting you to say, yeah, it was cheesy, but you were so passionate about the Blue Jays in this situation right now. The photos surfacing about the whole Odor situation, which everybody was kind of putting a microscope on, but with the images surfacing of Bautista taking a bat to Odor's head, too far, hilarious, or just on par?
I guess it's a bit much. I mean, I don't know. The whole Photoshop thing with that Odor punch has been hilarious. I mean, I think before the series we saw like Bautista throwing a punch in Odor. Whoever did that, great Photoshop, and then somebody added to it afterwards after the sweep. I saw one with a broom and hitting somebody with an object, even though it's by Photoshop and it didn't happen. It's a bit far, but it's also kind of really hilarious, right? So it depends on what kind of sense of humor you have.
Now, is it too far that the Blue Jays banned beer bottles at the game? Like, I mean, it's kind of smart to have them in cups, but do you think they did the right action with this? Because I had one friend, Mr. Andrew Morrow, you know him, and he was saying, why is the Blue Jays lashing out at their fans kind of deal? And I don't really see it as that.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, really what it is, I mean, this was one fan, obviously, that did this thing. But, I mean, you also had a similar situation just a year ago in the playoffs. So you hate to paint all fans with one brush, so to speak, here. But, I mean, what else are you going to do when you have 50,000 in the arena? You can't tell who the bad apples are that are going to potentially do something like that. So everybody kind of has to suffer for it. To be honest, as long as you're drinking your beer, I mean, I don't know what the big issue is. I don't know if, like, prices are different or something. But, I mean, hey, beer's beer. And if it's safer for everybody, there's nothing wrong with it.
$10 a pop plus.
That's the thing. Why would you throw that in the first place? Like,
it had to be empty, but it wasn't. It didn't look empty.
No, something spilled out, so there's definitely something still left in it. But yeah, don't throw that because maybe you have a lot of money just to be there in the first place, considering it was the wild card game. You had some pretty good seats, but yeah, don't waste beer.
Now, if you're a hardcore sports fan, you might notice that these are really random topics that we're talking about. Because honestly, there's not a whole heck of a lot to talk about with the Blue Jay series. We sweep the Rangers. That's fantastic. First two games were, very heavily in the Blue Jays' favor. But now things are turning a bit. We're facing another team that swept their opponents in the Cleveland Indians. They knocked out Boston last night, and I guess we're going to have Coco Crisp coming to Toronto.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I can only imagine what Blue Jays management's like. Ross Atkins and Mike Shapiro, because obviously this is the organization that they just came from. So it's the Shapiro off, as they tweeted last night, which isn't that clever, but I'm going to stand proud with that tweet. So, but
they had Terry Francona against the Red Sox. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it would have been intriguing either way, no matter who won that series. I don't know if this gives, I don't know who the Blue Jays' better matchup is. You think maybe it could be Cleveland, but Cleveland won the season series between the two teams. The Blue Jays took the season series against the Red Sox. So, I mean, really, it's almost like a flip of the coin. Who thought the Blue Jays were going to sweep the Rangers, and who thought the Indians were going to sweep the Red Sox? I don't think anybody did really with either scenario. So. Who knows what's going to happen? All I know is it's going to be really fun, and Blue Jays fans just need to enjoy the ride.
So are you confident that we're going to this next round against Cleveland? Are you confident in the Jays, or is this one going to get drawn out?
It's October 11th, and the Blue Jays haven't lost yet this month, so it's hard not to be confident. And this is a team that, they just narrowly won the wild card game, and they just narrowly won Game 3 of the ALDS. But they won those games. They were close, and they've also won a couple that haven't been so close in this month. So they're really firing on all cylinders right now. Even if Aaron Sanchez goes out there, and he's arguably the Blue Jays' best starter, and he's not able to deliver, with the way they're hitting right now, they're backing it up. And right now they have some days off. They don't go again now till Friday, so chance for the banged-up guys to get some rest.
Now, moving over to football, we've seen Mr. Tom Brady return to league action. That's great, fantastic, wonderful, except for the fact that he's facing the Cleveland Browns, and it's the Cleveland Browns who are tied dead last in the NFL, which is totally fine, totally fine. There's nothing really to say, hey, he came out super angry and all this that people were talking about, how he was going to be, Mr. Unstoppable and super angry and everything. I didn't really get that feel from him. Maybe people can play up that. Is there any validity to this whole Tom Brady's coming back as an angry man?
Maybe in the future we'll see a more angry Tom Brady. I feel it's hard to be really angry and really motivated when you're playing the Cleveland Browns because, you don't have to be to win, right? You can be completely laid back. You're Tom Brady. You're still going to go out there and get the job done because you're playing the Cleveland Browns. And, man, poor Cleveland. They can't catch a break.
Poor Cleveland. Poor Cleveland. I don't know if you've looked at their basketball team lately.
True. Poor Cleveland Browns fans, though. Their team really is brown, and I think you get the reference that I'm talking about. That little emoji that's brown. I'm not going to say the word.
Ha ha, very funny.
They really are that. They really are that.
True. Okay, so still on this old topic of football, Odell Beckham Jr. Oh, bud. All right, so last week, if anybody was paying attention, he didn't have a great week. He decided to attack the kicker's kicking net, and then it came back and sloshed him in the face. And this weekend, after the slosh, he caught the touchdown pass. He goes back and he hugs the net, so everything's all fine. And the internet goes from hating on Odell Beckham to loving him after he loved the net. Really weird circumstance, but hey, it's a bit of love in the NFL. The Connor McGregor scene that happened with the bottle throwing back in the Diaz fight, he gets fined $150,000. Is that not a little excessive for throwing a water bottle at a press conference?
I think it all comes back to the professionalism as well. And I think
it's $150,000, Trevor.
He also got something like 50 community hours of service. So I wonder what that will end up being. But it's a little excessive, I guess, but
Trevor,
it was childish.
$150,000.
Yeah, and we're also, it should be noted also, we're not talking about guys playing in the MLB, the NHL. These guys don't really make that top-notch cash. With that being said, if there is a guy in the UFC that does it, it's Conor McGregor, and this isn't going to affect him that much. I'm sure he has no issue with the money on the fine. He's going to make like, I don't know, at least like 10 times that, for example, this November at UFC 205. So, and I mean, if you look at it his way, I think he had a quote that said something like, I mean, I'm getting fined for more than some guys in the UFC are making. So, he'll take it, and he loves making others in the company feel down about the cash. So
$150,000, Trevor.
Dude, this is really not going to cost him much.
The point being is like we're in the wrong career, Trev. So we're hitting the ring tomorrow.
All right. Yeah.
The captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby, diagnosed with a concussion. We don't know how long he's going to be out for yet. But this is kind of big news. There's a lot of sources saying this couldn't come at a worse time. But I don't really think there's any good time for a concussion to come unless they're not playing. But even then, you still never want to get a concussion.
I mean, I guess the worst time would be like just before the playoffs. I mean, at least now it's like the beginning of the season, and hopefully he's able to come back. I guess with Sidney Crosby, when you have the concussion history, there is really legit a never good time for it. And I wonder if people start to wonder, like, I don't know, like, when he legit suffered this concussion, if it was like in a preseason game on like a head hit or something. But I mean, will people look at this and think the World Cup of Hockey had something to do with it?
That's a very good point, Trevor. The fact that Crosby is a captain is only a little part of his Pittsburgh career, but Connor McDavid recently got named the captain for the Edmonton Oilers, and he was some 11 days or a month between the age of when Crosby was named it and Mr. McGregor, wow. McDavid was last week. What do you think about this captaincy? Because I personally like it.
I mean, he's obviously the franchise player moving forward for the team. There's no doubt about that. I almost feel bad for Taylor Hall that he never got the opportunity. But, I mean, that's obviously like old news now. The guy's in New Jersey, and he's going to get a great chance there. It may be a bit early. He is the youngest captain in the history of the NHL. You mentioned Crosby. In between McDavid and Crosby is Gabriel Landeskog when he was named captain of Colorado. And it was only by like 20 days. So it's not like he was named, like they did it now partially because the season's obviously coming up, but also because this would make him the youngest captain in NHL history. And given the hype that he's been, given throughout junior hockey, considering also the fact he was playing in Erie, not exactly the biggest junior hockey market, though they did have a very good junior hockey team. And he still had all that hype. I think it's well deserved. Like if you're going to give it to Gabriel Landeskog, when they did, then Connor McDavid deserves it now. There's no doubt about it.
The reason why I think he got it at the right time is because who else are you going to give it to? Because it doesn't. That question's even kind of double-sided. Because if you give it to
other options. There are other options. Like Jordan Eberle is not exactly the star of the team. I guess maybe that would be Connor McDavid right now. But I think Eberle is a guy that has a lot of leadership.
But look at it this way: with Crosby or John Tavares, if somebody else has the C on that team, it's just going to feel awkward. With McDavid, sure, for this season and maybe next, it might feel a little weird. But he's going to be the best player.
The thing is, too, nobody may have an issue with this if he's the captain in 2 years. Like, do you find, like, a guy that you can give the C for, like, a couple of years and then, like it's always awkward when you have to take a C off of a guy. I guess Joe Thornton took it better than most. Exactly. I guess Joe Thornton took it better than most. You know exactly where I was going with that. But, I mean, you really don't see it anywhere except for that situation there with San Jose. So, I guess give it to Connor McDavid now. What's the worst that could happen? They miss the playoffs again?
Trevor, you're out. We're done. That's it for this edition of BSS Sports. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at BSS Sports, archiving everything on YouTube at BSS Productions. For Steven Schill and Trevor Struthers, the guy over there who just seems to hate the Oilers, we will catch you next Monday.